Good afternoon.
Recording in
everyone.
progress.
Welcome to this event. This is an hybrid event, so I hope people joining online can hear me well enough. My name is Maria Giuffrida. I'm from Trust IT. Trust IT is the technical coordinator of digiNEB project, which is the organizer of this session. We are not the only partner involved, of course, in this project. We have other partners, other 4 partners that we will introduce later on. I would just like to wait 1 more minute to check if people online are joining well enough, and my colleagues here in the room, Claudio, Valeria, Ruben, maybe can have a look at the chat if people are joining fine. So we make sure that there are people in the room, but we also have many attendants online, so we make sure everything is working properly. Yeah, Claudio nods, so I think it's a good sign. Let's start, and welcome again. This is gonna be our 4-hour session. It's an annual event of a 2-year project, digiNEB, funded by DigiConnect. As the name suggests, digiNEB wants to bring together the digital environment with the new European Bauhaus ecosystem. And our aim today is not only to showcase, the results and the opportunities that digiNEB has achieved in the first year, but also to give voice to our community, so to the projects we cooperate with, the digital solution providers, the early adopters, the providers also of e-learning catalogs and all the other assets that are part of digiNEB. So hopefully you can see the agenda. It's a little bit small, but I will read it together with you. We have a short introduction by myself and Claudio. We will also act as moderators, let's say, of the whole event. We will introduce digiNEB, and then we will have a first session until 5, more or less, where we will have speakers introducing their experience with our assets. So with the digital toolkit, we will have R2M, we will have Nhood, we will have Urbanistic. Then we will have presentations about our e-learning opportunities and other e-learning initiatives, for instance, the NEB Stewardship Lab and the Desire project. And then we'll have the early adopter experience, so we will have GreenPrefab and Easi space as companies that are adopting solutions, presenting their experience. We will have a coffee for those who are here in the room, and then we will have a second part of the event that's more focused on trying to understand how all the digital opportunities that we have presented in the first part can be used to serve the NEB vision, the NEB values, and the NEB purposes. Okay, so we will have some more presentations from CULTUUR&CAMPUS and EHHUR projects, and then we will conclude with a panel discussion with the speakers that are in the room. And also for those who are here, lucky for you, we have also an aperitivo, networking cocktail, okay, so we can continue the discussion. Just an overview of who is here, mostly who is also online, that we cannot see from the room. We have, until this morning, we had over 100 registrants. Most of them are connected online, and they represent all the stakeholder categories that digiNEB is trying to target. So we have architects, engineers, people in the construction industry that are the users of digital solutions for the renovation and the improvement of living spaces. We also have the research world, citizens and decision makers in the cities, and policy makers. Okay, so we have many different stakeholder categories represented, connected from all over Europe. We have more than 15 countries represented as part of the registrants of this annual event. This was said also in the beginning. The session is being recorded. The recording will be available soon after the event for those who want to rewatch it or catch up. And there will be the opportunity to interact with us. So for those of you who are in the room, whenever you have a question, just raise your hand and we will come to you with a microphone. For those who are online, feel free to use the chat, okay, in the Zoom room. We will have also an interactive session in the second part of the event on menti.com, and we'll give you instructions how to join that session. So I think that's it for the housekeeping rules. Let's just give you some very short information about digiNEB, and then we will engage in discussions with our guests. So I'll start the introduction, and then I'll leave the floor to Claudio, who will help me in presenting this part. So as I was saying before, this is a joint effort, as many European projects do. We are here representing Trust IT, who is the technical coordinator of the project, but we're not alone. We have TU Delft, Technical University of Delft, that is the financial coordinator of the project, and you may have seen in other sessions in these days of the event, our colleague Mar Munoz-Aparici from TU Delft attending the Congress session this morning, for instance. Then we have COMPLA is a third party affiliated to Trust IT. We have the European Association of Architectural Education, who's following the best practices, success stories, and capacity building material that digiNEB carries on. We have Industry Commons Foundation as the leader of the synergies and stakeholder engagement, and we have Wood, who is specialized in the wood sector, and of course wood is one of the key material for the construction of living spaces that are sustainable, aesthetically pleasant, and inclusive. We started 1 year ago with an ambitious mission that is condensed in this slide. The mission was to try and make the digital ecosystem and the new European Bauhaus ecosystem meet and interact. So our, let's say, core objective is to map digital solutions that can be used by architects, engineers, and other designers and similar type of users to improve their living spaces. These solutions are collected in our website, digiNEB.eu, inside the digital toolkit. It's basically a catalog where you can find all the information about the digital solutions that we have. Then, beyond the digital toolkit, we have a preliminary learning catalog with courses that try to teach about digital and about NEB. We have an observatory, so a privileged section in the website where we share success stories, so successful stories of adoption and implementation of digital solutions in NEB environment. And we have thematic working groups that are, discussions where all the gaps and all the best practices can be further analyzed and can be analyzed in order to find what are the gaps and the next steps. We are helped by a network of early adopters and the overall community of NEB and digital players that help us spread the word about what we're doing. And we have a set of other collateral activities in terms of synergies, outreach, communication, campaigns, etc. As part of CSA, we are very focused on trying to bring information and sharing the results and the initiatives that are there to as many people as possible. So this is the overall view. Now Claudio will provide some more numbers and some more examples of these assets before we proceed. Thank you.
Hello everyone, again, thank you for being here today once again. So this is essentially what we have achieved so far. As part of our main tools, we have a digital toolkit, and nowadays already accounts for over 250 digital solutions that have been mapped by our project partners and by us, and are the core of our current offer. So this is kind of the very nice accomplishment for the first step, for the first year of our project, and now we are targeting all the other assets to sort of complete and improve our current offer. So after these digital solutions have been mapped and placed in the digital toolkit, we will write success stories of implementation of these solutions in different contexts, and we are targeting e-learning catalog, which should also sort of condense some of the main training programs related to these solutions whenever they are available on the market. So these are our offer once again, based on what seems the most interesting part of our offer. You can scan these QR codes that you see here, and you can browse our current platform. And to our, obviously, this whole discussion has been accomplished through the creation of synergies. And this is something that has been done since day one from our whole consortium. We include, obviously, NEB-related projects in our synergies, but also projects working on a broader sense with the topic of digitalization in urban and rural areas, transportation, smart mobility, smart digital ecosystems, and all of that. And we also worked in synergy with projects linked to standards. We worked also with, for example, Open Agile Smart Cities and HS Booster to try to understand how also digiNEB can target interoperability and can include interoperable solutions within its offer. You can find the recordings on our YouTube channel of all the events that we have so far organized. These are mostly webinars, online events that took place over the first year. Obviously, the initial ones were introducing the projects where we're still not sure about what we're doing. But then at in the next events, you find interesting discussions on topics such as DLT and blockchain, the wood sector, about smart cities and smart communities, and about energy efficiency. So these are the topics we have explored so far. Obviously, many more will follow. Okay, so thanks a lot. And without further ado, I think we could start with our first panelist today. So I want to welcome at the table, first of all, Eva Coscia from R2M Solution, company based also in Italy, but also working with a lot of European projects, and also I believe with some headquarters in Spain, if I'm not mistaken. And one in France also recently, so it's an expanding, nice reality of the architecture world. I will also welcome Deekshitha already on stage, maybe, so she can join us already. Here from Urbanistic, a company based in Munich, developing solutions for urban environments. So you can grab a seat and sit next to us. And also there is Michele Montevecchi, I believe a collaborator of Eva from Nhood project, joining us from remote. So please, Eva, stage is yours.
Thank you, Claudio. Okay, thank you very much. So as Claudio mentioned, I'm Eva Coscia. I'm from R2M Solution. I'm the innovation director, so I'm responsible for the innovation activities in the company. Should I go on? No? Yes, one more? Okay. Okay, so it's a company based in Italy. We are in Pavia, not far from Milano. Company created 10 years ago. R2M is the acronym for research to market. And this is the mission of the company, is indeed to identify innovation opportunities, new services, and to help them make the transition from the research domain to the market. In doing that, we are organized across 3 divisions. There is innovation division I belong to, where we are still working on EU projects and also helping companies in joining the community of EU research. And we are usually covering two roles. One is supporting the exploitation. So to implement our mission of transition from research to market, we help the entities in the research to identify the innovation potential of their solution, but we also have some technical roles in this project. The innovative products division is where we are creating business agreement, and we are helping these innovation services arrive to the market, and I will provide you some example. And in the sustainability division, we are mostly consultant, and we are also offering engineering solution, certification for the sustainability of buildings, also modeling and ESG criteria analysis. By combining this digital solution, partially developed in new projects, also by R2M, and partially coming from the market, we are indeed supporting the implementation of a new European Bauhaus project, addressing all the three dimensions to make the buildings more beautiful, aesthetically pleasant, to have a sustainable solution, and to let the people with different background to contribute together. We are mostly working on energy transition, energy renovation, and urban renovation. These are the two main areas where we are working. And in analyzing the needs of these projects and the life cycle of buildings, we have identified some challenges, or in any case, areas that has to be covered, also with the support of digital solution. First of all, we need to be able to digitalize the environment, the buildings, and create BIM models, use the new emerging technologies like augmented or virtual reality, artificial intelligence, to improve this representation, to create digital twins, and also to think about the digital building logbook, so to have the complete story of the building represented. Using data, using simulation, we can identify, we can see how we can make this energy transition happening. So we can do energy simulation, we can calculate LCA. Then another asset that has to be used for the implementation of this NEB project is to combine nature-based solution and also to take into account circularity aspects, and that can be done by using digitalization in terms of building material passport or circularity passport. We have IoT and sensors that are used to collect all the information about the indoor environment and to offer data to artificial intelligence that is more and more able not only to predict what is happening in a building, but also to take control of the equipment. And then we have to combine it with standardization and certification. There are new standards emerging, like the Smart Readiness Indicator, and the digitalization has also to be combined with technologies, hardware technologies, new products, new components, and last but not least, all these tools are at the service and are used by a community of stakeholders that needs to be able to cooperate together. And all these tools are not specific of a phase of the life cycle, but can be used in different phases. Concerning digitalization, I just give you an overview of some services and solutions that we are developing as part of projects, or that we are bringing into the market, and that we are also including in the digiNEB catalog. So for the digitalization, there are new types of scanning solutions that are able to create a point cloud from which we can derive BIM models, but also 3D models that can be navigated and equipped with data that are coming from sensors, so that we can create a new type of digital twins. And for example, in the IMPERSO project, we are working on the creation of these digital twins, and also on using artificial intelligence to make the creation of BIM models automatic or semi-automatic. All these data have to be shareable with other stakeholders in the community. And for example, the digital building logbook is something that is emerging as a unique place where we can collect all the information about the buildings and we can make them accessible to all the stakeholders in the ecosystem. Data then are used, and it's important to have this data to create dynamic simulation of buildings, of neighborhoods, of city quarters. As part of the Positive City Exchange project, we are helping different municipalities and local authorities in creating decarbonization roadmap with very intuitive solution that can be used by different stakeholders in the municipality to create this visual representation of how the energy efficiency can be implemented. I mentioned also the integration between nature-based solution and also the circularity. Nature-based solution needs to be measured and assessed, also using digital parameters, KPIs. we have met this solution, which is called GreenPrefab, recently in the EU research, and we use it to support one of the C40 cities plan that has been selected for Milano. The idea is to be able to calculate the microclimate variation caused by implementation of nature-based solutions like pocket parks or green roof or green facades. And through this platform, it is possible to have measurement of KPIs that can be also used to explain to the population why a certain part of the city has been renovated and which is the real impact, the benefit for the population coming from nature-based solution. And in C4Con, we are working on circularity. Circularity is another aspect that needs also to engage the population to explain how we can be circular also with the construction waste, which is one of the probably the first source of waste from different sectors. And we have this platform that is used to create opportunities for reusing the outcome of demolition and the construction waste. I mentioned that buildings now artificial intelligence is more and more applied to monitoring of buildings. Not only not only for predicting what will be the behavior of a building in terms of energy consumption patterns, but now the artificial intelligence is able to control equipment, and Brainbox AI is a solution developed by a European Canadian company, which is dramatically changing the way we are controlling buildings, because it's able to learn without having to be trained and to take control of energy consumption patterns. And then I mentioned standardization and certification. The Commission is pushing on some new certification, some new indicators like the smart readiness indicators. We have all the sustainability certification that are already well known, but needs still to be adopted by the majority of the stakeholders to ensure that new buildings or renovated buildings are really sustainable. And there is also the EU taxonomy, so many different initiatives from the Commission, many different standards that we can use and we can apply in urban renovation projects. I accelerate a bit. So, and all these digital tools has to be combined with physical products. So there are new types of photovoltaic solution, transparent, that can be part of the buildings, that can be part of the roof of the city infrastructures. There are also solutions that are reusing materials like wood or steel, and that are sustainable and have great insulation properties. And these are some examples of solutions like Onyx and Pablock. And in the ME0E project, we are developing a platform to support open innovation among all the providers of building envelope products, stimulating them to be more circular, to be more sustainable, and offering a plethora of services from testing to availability of living labs, and also some business support to approach the market. And last but not least, as I said, there is the ecosystem that we have to create, grouping all together and letting the different stakeholders cooperate together, and empower them with tools to really participate in the co-design, in the co-creation of this new solution, in full alignment with the new European Bauhaus philosophy. For example, we have an academy program that we are using to create to do capacity building, to let people learn and meet together. And we in another project we are called In Perso, we are working on skill assessment and skill mapping. So to have using the artificial intelligence in an automatic way, we can identify which are the skill gaps within a specific stakeholder category or group that needs to be bridged using new approaches for training and for capacity building. Okay, so I've been very, very quick. I'm indeed available if you have any question on any of these tools here today, but also tomorrow in the expo. And I just wanted to mention one application, one example of project, part of the C40 cities competition, won by Nhood in Milano, which is addressing the renovation of Loreto, which is a specific part of the city of Milano, with a huge implementation of nature-based solution, and what is even more important, implementing a co-creation approach through this open community initiative that is directly engaging the population. In that specific case, we have used some tools like IS for making the preliminary simulation of the energy renovation of the area, and we have used the GreenPrefab suite to calculate the impact of all the different nature-based solutions that will be used in Loreto to increase the quality of the environment and also to reduce the climate change effect that is now affecting very, very much the city of Milano. So I leave the floor to our colleague in Nhood to have a deeper presentation and understanding of the project. Here are my contacts if you wanted to get in touch and have more information about these tools. And we are now working with digiNEB to include all this solution into the catalog so that the information will be publicly available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so if Michele is there, you can
Hello,
start.
good afternoon.
Hello. Hello, Michele.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for invitation. I share the screen. I hope you can see it very quickly. Thanks to Eva, who has introduced our beautiful project in Milan. I would like to explain in a very few words what about it, giving it as an example of potential application of this kind of digital technologies. The project, as anticipated, has been made thanks to a great team of designers, consultants, architects, and indeed it's a C40 Reinventing Cities project launched by the municipality of Milan in 2019, and we have been awarded in May 21. Now we are finalizing the design and authorization procedure, and we are hoping to start works in next January. As you can see today, the Piazzale Loreto is basically a roundabout dedicated only to cars, with some green in the center, which is totally inaccessible to citizen and population. Tomorrow, it will be a renovated spaces where the cars still will pass through, but we will realize some public spaces in the center of the square with some building pavilion offering services and with a lot of green. Being a Reinventing Cities project is a project very focused on ESG topics and basically sustainable challenges has been given by the challenge, and we have been respected thanks to digital technologies as well. But the very focus of the project is the regeneration of a public square. So everything is working around the public space, and with this image, I try to offer you some kind of quality of the public space we want to realize. It will be a new square located one level under the road level, so that to have a direct connection with subway station, and so to be protected by the buildings and pavilion around, protected by the pollution, protected by the noise of cars which are passing on the edge. As anticipated, the public spaces is divided into several levels, so that on bottom you can see the central above, and on top, which are public spaces as well, offered to the citizens, which are public spaces as well, offered to the citizen for activities like gym or walking or other activities. The project is based on the needs of local neighbors. So we have deeply analyzed the moods of the different neighbors who are facing the square. And they are quite different. There are some more active population, some multi-ethnical communities. Of course, Buenos Aires, which is very close by, which is a great retail pole. There are the station, the university, and so on. And the aim of the project is to be very inclusive and try to give answer to the different needs by different kind of population. It's located on one of the key points of viability of the city of Milan. So we are very aware about this topic, and we have studied the history of the square. In the 60s, it has been designed in order to give priority to cars, because in the 60s, the cars used to be the symbol of wealth, the symbol of progress. Today is quite different. Today, the square is inaccessible to pedestrians who are obliged to walk on the edge or walk underground through the subway station in order to cross the square. Tomorrow, the idea is to redesign the roads and create some public space at the center. But very important, we have used some traffic models in order to be sure that the current traffic flow will be kept and properly managed by the new road system in the same way, thanks to a redesign, reconfiguration of roads and a new optimization of traffic light timing. It's a very complex project because, as anticipated, we have 2 subway lines passing through the site underground, thence to realize an underground idea, so to be anticipated to the subway station. An underground square, so to be directly connected to the subway station. Reinventing cities, several environment topics has been approached, and specifically the green. Being already realized subway station, there's no virgin soil, so we don't waste new soil, but at the contrary, we open up some pavements so that we create a green area in the center of the square where we are able to plant some big trees directly on the soil. So we do not waste soil, but we open up new soil to the city. It's a big amount, but it's a contribution for the forest implementation of the town. Public space has been conceived in order to hold different potential activities. We have imagined to hold some kind of markets, but at the same time, the place is ready to hold some sport venues linked to the Olympics or after the Olympics, or some other events connected to the ferry which are planned in Milan, some the Fashion Week or the Design Week. So it's a multifunctional public space that can host different functions, even include the activity directly managed by the citizen. We are very inclusive about it. As anticipated, it's a very sustainable project, so that we have some parameters, some key indicators to respect about carbon footprint, which has been reduced by 60% compared to business as usual. Energy consumption reduced by 85% consumption compared to business as usual. We strongly increase the space dedicated to green, to pedestrian, to self-mobility. We realize a lot of bike paths. We realize almost 5,000 square meters of solar panels. the pavement, some part of the square. We planned globally 500 trees, of which 200 located directly in the square, and so on. Last but not least, a very focus on social sustainability, and specifically the dialogue with the citizen, being the public space designed in order to be appreciated and used by the citizen. We have opened in last January an info point facing the square, where citizens can find information about the project. And when we have realized some public events in order to present the project and give all the information and collect the question, the expectation, the need about citizen. So different phases, from the competition phases with a deep analysis of the neighbor, which has been kept in the final design, then the opening of the info desk with some public presentation and some cultural and artistic events held in the same spaces. And in the future, with a working site open, an open working site open to citizens for visits, and a program of further events and communication, so that to explain to the citizen what we are going, what the stage is, and what they can expect, because of course it's a very important working site, and this is very impacting on the local communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, both to Eva and Michele from R2M and Nhood, and I would now give the floor to our third speaker, providing us another example of a solution that is in our toolkit. Deekshitha Bangalore from Urbanistic in Munich. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Deekshitha Bangalore. I'm representing Urbanistic. We are a startup company from Munich, and we have developed a 3D digital twin based urban planning platform for early stage planning. And let's go. So when was the last time that any of us used anything analog to actually get information? For example, when was the last time we went to a library, or like looked out something in the newspaper to get information, or when did we look at a map to find directions to go anywhere, or when have we even looked at a analog watch? It's become more of a fashion statement than actually used to find time, and everything is getting digitalized so fast. And with the technology like ChatGPT, language models, and Midjourney coming into existence, we are currently in a very, very big technological revolution, but the construction and planning industry remains woefully under-digitized, being one of the most under-digitized industries, beaten only by agricultural industry. And why is it this under-digitized? Because there is data already available in most European cities, but this is how it looks like. The digital resources in cities or municipalities is completely fragmented. We can imagine it as though having a cupboard full of drawers, but every time you need something, you have to pull one out, look into it, and then pull another out and look into that, because each department has one kind of data. And that is why we need digital twins. What it does is it becomes a centralized platform which can bring in multiple data points so that connections are made clearer, and it can also help hasten the planning process very, very much. When I talk about urban digital twins, one of the most common things that would come into mind is probably Google Maps in 3D. And I'm from Munich. This is a screenshot of how it would look if you looked at a digital twin Google Maps of Munich. But how would it look if you actually how would it look if you actually zoomed into it, is that we lose the information that we actually need for planning. And this happens because that is not the information that we require. It is a visualization software, and what we need is more information for planning. So two completely different scales. One is GIS, that is Geo Information System, and this is a bigger scale which is more concerned about the location of your context. And then you come into a building scale, which is BIM. And right now we have very different software platforms that are used by professionals, and neither of it is currently compatible with the open data that is available by cities. Most of the time 3D digital data like city GML formats and terrain data is available for free, but it is not compatible with any of the platforms that we use. So that's where we came in. We created an online platform which uses digital twin models, which can be easily downloaded by your local survey offices. So all you need to do is take the information, take the files and drag it into our platform, and it creates a contextual model for you. Along with that, we taught our software something like small, easy to use drawing tools, as well as building regulations of your local area. So while you do your design, it is automatically checking for building regulations, it is doing your basic calculations. It is essentially making all the information available to you, which you would anyway use for your decision making. This is again a small clip of how it would look to imagine building regulations. It is very visual, and it is mostly intended for people who are stakeholders or your citizens who do not have to be extremely technically knowledgeable to understand what is going to happen in their area. It is completely visual. So that was what we made for urban planners, and then we expanded it into a city level. So for a larger scale, how would it look to make decision making easy with digital twins? So recently we did a project with a small town very close to Munich, where we built or we are still building a digital twin model which will be used in the future for a lot of different use cases, for planning, visualization, communication, etc. And they had certain 3 hypotheses, and we built this platform according to that. So one of it was that a geo-based digital twin will become the central control element for our municipality in 10 years at the latest. This meant that the digital twin will not just be used for their current challenges, but there will also be future challenges, which means it has to be more compatible for data sets which are probably not currently available, but it will be in the future. So we built a platform where you can also integrate IoT data, and we have project partners who gave us information, for example, air pollution, humidity, and we also have one of our partners who is giving us information about tree health. So they went and set up sensors on trees, and anyone, including the citizens or the administration, both can monitor how well your community is doing. And this is not just used for planning, but this will also be used for visualization of projects in the future. I think here you can see it as how each tree can be represented. And the second thing was a digital twin enables the municipality to carry out simulations that lead to best solutions in areas of sustainability and climate protection. Climate protection is, of course, on the forefront of almost every city here. And this means that it has to be compatible to simulations as well. And these simulations, most simulations, if you're doing it in detail, it takes over 24 hours. But what can we do to make it responsive, so that the cities are not responding to crisis and actually preparing for it. So with our tool, we were able to simulate heat risk in the cities. And this map can be used interactively for your planning variants. For example, if you're making a land use planning, or you plan to change certain building codes, you should be able to simulate the scenario and correlate it with the other data that you have, and all in real time, and all has to be visual, because again, you are talking to stakeholders who probably don't want to see all pages and pages of Excel numbers or written matter. Our third hypothesis is that digital twin will be a key competitive advantage for the municipality. All the information that you provide, again, has to be understandable, and it should easily reach your citizens. So our platform can be embedded into your website or given to people as a link, and they can go through, for example, design variants, can vote for the designs that they find best, and actually understand what are the implications of voting for this design. What change will it bring to me if I have this or something else? And especially when it is already under construction, at what time, what can I expect in my surroundings? And this makes it more like you will be able to involve your citizens more than speaking at them. You're able to let them know by themselves, if when they change one factor, how many different factors are connected in urban planning, and it is absolutely not simple. So I think this is a very, very, very short version of what can be used, what use cases can be done with digital twins. I have a lot more to talk about, but the most important part for the cities is now to start to take the first step to find lighthouse projects and to get that one step in the door. So I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deekshitha, for your presentation. We have, let's say, a short break if you have any questions now. So anyone in the room, if you have any questions for the presenters, we have listened so far for Eva, for Michele, or for Deekshitha, feel free. Or also online, you can use the chat directly, or the Q&A box, the Q&A function, okay? Feel free to think of any doubts or any curiosities that you have also later on, and drop them in the chat, and we'll pick them up later. I see no questions for now, so I think we can just move on for the time being. You have listened so far a lot of experiences regarding the digital toolkit. That was one of our assets. The second one that we are also trying to build, and it's in a more early stage than the toolkit, is the catalog of e-learning. And so this gives me the opportunity to introduce this other topic about training courses about digital and NEB. And on this topic we have our next guest online, Canio Forliano from University of Turin. Canio, if you confirm me if you are already there.
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you well. Good evening, everyone.
The floor is yours, Canio. You can present your initiative.
Thanks. So I think that the screen is arriving just now. Okay, so thanks for the opportunity to be here. And as anticipated, I'm gonna present you a little bit one of the labs that we are developing. I'm presenting also on behalf of Paolo De Bernardi. We are both from the Department of Management, University of Turin. And I'm gonna give you a little glimpse of one of the courses that we co-developed. So first of all, let me present and introduce the NEB Stewardship Lab. which is one of the newest community-led NEB lab approved from the GRC at the early of 2023, in which with different partners from all over Europe, you can see the coordination of Metropolia from Finland. We have Amsterdam University of Applied Science, Cyprus Institute, Green Growth Generation, which is based in Italy. We have an university in the Seine, which is IADE from Portugal, NABA, the Academia of Fine Arts in Milan, and the University of Turin. We all together are conducting and developing our lab to reflecting on how the higher education institutions can further spread the word of the European Bauhaus, and also to reason about the different implementation in the, of course, educational context of its core values and working principles. So in this regard, these are some of the coordinators that you can see. We reflected on the stewardship dimensions of knowledge, agency, and care. So as researchers, we first started from a theoretical framework and then started to collect different case studies and best practices that in the different universities were performed to spread the European Bauhaus. Just to give you a little glimpse, but I'm sure that you already know about the values of the NEB. They are sustainability, inclusiveness, and aesthetics. And so you could see how different universities came together, bringing their different backgrounds and expertise on several aspects. So, for example, we are more in the management, and so maybe we are lacking a little bit the aesthetics part, but we had some colleagues from fine arts or design that enabled us to bring those values in action. And so to work on the values of the European Bauhaus, as said, we started from our theoretical model, which is based on stewardship, which means spurring the active shaping of trajectories of social ecological change to support resilience, human well-being. And in particular, we identified 3 different dimensions of stewardship, which are knowledge, which can be seen as the core aspects that probably we perform as higher education institution, trying to foster, of course, a scientific approach when we have to imagine and designing our educational activities, trying to go with practice and challenge-based educational tools and ways of promoting those kind of knowledge to promote both learning and understanding of students. But of course, we didn't forget about the relevance of agency. If people don't feel embedded and committed to put into action the knowledge that they have acquired, real outcome will not be pursued. So with agency, we recognize the relevance of promoting skills. We all know about the relevance of soft skills besides hard ones, and knowledge as part of the competencies that both teachers and students must have. So also to increase the capability of those people to bring change, so increasing their power, the opportunity, and give them resources to do that. And finally, care. Which is embedded into the thematic axis of European Bauhaus, such as the sense of belonging and promoting place-based change. So promoting responsibility, attachment, emotions, and values, just to further increase the ethical aspects of what we are doing and the awareness of students about that. With that in mind, so we try to change knowledge and expertise, as I was saying, between the different partners, with great attention to how to promote the capacities needed by people, students, most of all, to promote and bring individual and collective actions to pursue sustainability, and in particular, in the different contexts in which we are moving. So basically, within the lab, we mainly are aiming to harness the full potential of us as higher education institutions for helping and supporting the European Bauhaus to be realized, and exploring the different factors that can contribute to that. So trying to have it not just as a top-down policy from the universities, but trying to involve much as possible different actors within that. And so at the moment, we are still reflecting and co-developing this model, also making it more clear, reflecting on the different dimensions that we identified, exchanging knowledge. So besides the different coordinators that you could see in the previous slides, we are also searching for potential contributors to help us to further develop our theoretical model, which is translated, of course, into practical actions. And to give you a little overview of what we have done, particularly as University of Turin and Department of Management, here you can see the funnel of the European Bauhaus educational activities. So we have performed and delivered a short online open course. I'll give you a little snitch of the main aspects of our course in the next slides. So here you can see an overview of one of the screens from our course. But of course, the NEB community realized that just promoting knowledge and theoretical knowledge is not enough. So as a second step of the educational activities, they are also into the promotion of hackathons or other forms to promote way of making concrete the knowledge acquired by students. So in this regard, we as Turin in particular were selected among one of the 6 European cities to perform European Bauhaus related hackathons. So we had our NEB for cities in Turin. And of course, this links to the practical aspects of the stewardship model I was showing you before. And to make you aware of the impact that we can have, we have the third and fourth step, which are making the students and the ideas accessing to makerspaces to make those ideas and more concrete, maybe into prototypes and going to the market. And in this regard, 2 of the local teams that won the challenge in Turin accessed it to the European level of those challenges. And I can give you the example of one of those teams, Molo 61, which won the European level award in that. And now they are dialoguing with different institutional stakeholders in Turin to make their idea really happen. So we are trying to cross the whole set of different aspects that you can see in this funnel. But I'll focus on the short online open course, which enabled us to make this nice collaboration with digiNEB. And the course is a SCEWC, so a short open online course. This means that you can access it within FutureLearn, is freely accessible to everyone interested. And it was asked us and co-developed with the AT community and the GRC, so the Joint Research Center from the European Commission. And this was aimed and intended to be a very generalistic course aimed to reach everyone, every citizen interested. So we tried to cover the different main aspects of that policy. And it's divided into 2 weeks. So for the first week, we started the course with a very general introduction to the policy, to the NEB, presenting also its roots and how the historical Bauhaus has been revamped by Ursula von der Leyen in 2020. Then we addressed more the NEB core elements, so the values that you could see before, but as well its main working principles, like being participatory, multidisciplinary, and really reaching the people that need it most, so linking also it to the different thematic axes of the NEB. Then we showed the NEB Compass. This is a tool that has been co-developed again by the European Commission, but to help people that are making concrete ideas to self-evaluate those ideas. And so it's a self-evaluation tool, very useful to validate projects and see if they are aligned to the NEB values and principles. And then we discussed and presented the delivery phase of the NEB, so also its synergies within the European policy environment. We all know that the European Bauhaus has been thought as a way to make the Green Deal operational and more alive. In that regard, the course is structured with different material, so ranging from articles, as you can see here, you have a screen of the first unit of the first week, but also with some videos. and some ways of making the students interact each other through ad hoc discussion. So we have planned different forums in which people can exchange comments or build on the comment of other students, other learners, and so build concrete conversations. So, for example, here you have a glimpse of one of the videos, which was a conversation with Xavier Troussard, former head of the NEB community. To just continue and give you a little bit overview, we also had some interviews. In this regard, you can see interviews, for example, with institutional actors, which are placed, of course, in the unit about the delivering phase of the NEB, so discussing more the political setting. So, for example, we were able to interview, and that honor, to interview Alicia Erbosca, which is, of course, within the European Bauhaus Joint Research Center, or Tommaso Emiliani, which is a person working within EHHUR, which is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, related to food, but also within the Vietti NEB community. So we try to leverage different actors, as I was saying, with different levels and different commitments. And after the first week, which was more an introductory one, we moved to the week 2 with some NEB cases and best practices, like, for example, presenting, of course, the different actors, like the high-level roundtable, or the different actors, so partners, friends of the NEB, and NEB projects. We also added to have the cultural and aesthetic part. We added a sensorial experience from Emeka Ogbo, which is part of the high-level roundtable, and we put a video of the sound of Lagos that he realized to make people feel how the city was living in was related to its noise and its environment. Then we moved to the Lighthouse demonstrators, which are the think tank, which can enable concrete change. And we also added the NEB dashboard, which is a very friendly tool to see the different projects related to NEB that are happening. So I left within the slides the link to the dashboard, but you can see and easily find it. It's from the European Commission to navigate those projects. We presented 3 different demonstrators to have geographical representation. And keeping that in mind, we also presented some case studies from the 2022 NEB prizes, just to give word and make students and learners hear the stories, the success stories of those projects. So you can see the structure is very similar. So, for example, in the case of the NEB Lighthouse demonstrators, we had some videos, articles, but also the discussion again, keeping in mind that we needed to engage people. And for the case studies, you can see the different prize winners that we discussed within our unit. And we also added a nice video from Maria Gabriel presenting at the NEB Festival in Brussels, which is the former commission. She resigned in May 2023, but she gave an overview of the policy from the real inside. And with this, I just gave you a little overview of the course, but just to make you aware about it, you can scan the QR code and access it through Future Learn. We also had in mind that, of course, for promoting knowledge, experience is really probably one of the best drivers. So also for the learners participating in our NEBathon occurring in October 2022 in Turin, here you have some of the images taken within the event. We gave to the students and the learners access to our course to make them aware of the different aspects of this policy. And I'm presenting you the people from Turin that participated together, as I was saying, with GRC to develop this course, which are Paola De Bernardi, Simona Grande, which is a PhD candidate within our university, and of course me, Canio Forliano. And I think that with this, probably in time, I finished my presentation. So thanks for it.
Thank you, Canio. I hope you could hear our applause from the room and also virtual on Zoom. So again, as before, if anyone has a question, Canio will be connected online a few more minutes, so you can type your question if you have it, or if anyone here in the room wants to ask something, just let us know. On the same topic, moving on, we have the Desire project. So I would like to leave the floor to Aase Nielsen, that will she's online. So I will let you share the screen, Aase, already if you want, and you can tell us about the Desire project and your let's say plans regarding the digital aspects of e-learning and training opportunities. Thank you, Aase. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maria, and thank you for inviting Desire to this really exciting event. I've been listening to the different speakers. It's very interesting. My name is Aase Højlund Nielsen, and I'm from Blogshub in Copenhagen. And we are coordinating Desire, designing the Irresistible Circular Society. And it's one of the, I'm also happy that Canio just briefly presented Desire in the previous presentation. It's one of the 6 Lighthouse Demonstrator projects. And we are working with 8 different sites, 3 of them in Denmark and the further 5 in Europe. And we're experimenting both with some principles we've developed ourselves, but also, you could say, with the European Bauhaus approach and also the values and principles that define European Bauhaus. And it's a very, very experimenting project. We have 2 years, so we're quite in a hurry. And what we aim to do is really to work and to learn. So it's a really learning experience and learning project, you could say. We learn through experimenting. And we experiment through co-creation. So these are some of our main methods to approach. How do you work with transformation, green transformation, in different local sites? And when we are talking about local sites, we're both talking about neighborhoods, but also individual buildings and sites, but also small cities, for instance. And how do we transform these sites through using by using the European Bauhaus principles and values, but also the principles that we are working on ourselves in Desire. And as you've heard, designing the irresistible circular society, irresistibility is a key concept in our project. And what we aim for is to find ways to make sustainability the attractive choice or the attractive option, so attractive that it barely seems like a choice to choose this. And this is done through a lot of experiments at the 8 different sites where we co-create new ways of mainly involving citizens, because this is where we see we can really achieve a different understanding of what it means to and what it requires to do circular transformation or sustainable transformation in a way that it becomes attractive. And we are co-creating in communities. You see a small picture there on the left from Riga, one of our sites involved, or cities involved in Desire. They are gathering a community to work on taken in renovation from some of the old social blocks, housing blocks there. But you also see to the left a community in Denmark working with transforming their social housing area, some children as well, working with co-creation methods and experimenting. And through these co-creation methods, these experiments, these communities are producing learning and also learning themselves, of course, And this is what are the key elements in Desire. We have 3 main topics or objectives, you could say. Learning community, to produce or to create a learning community is one of our key objectives. Another is, of course, to create lighthouse demonstrators, 8 different lighthouse demonstrators that also represent a variety of working with European Bauhaus in different contexts, and also with different pace and different directions, you could say. And then, of course, also, how do we scale this? How do we extend and exploit the learnings from what we are doing in a broader context, but perhaps also scale deep? How can we find out further by doing more on the different sites and the different places that are involved in our activities or in our project? And then one of the key outputs of our project is to produce a digital learning hub. And then what is a digital learning hub? You see here and visualization that stems from the proposal. It's quite blurry, and that's perhaps also very representative of how it still is perceived in Desire. What it is for now is a very flat website, but we aim to include different elements in the digital learning hub. But just as the experiments going on at the different sites are very open and very not sort of defining, worked by a defined outcome, the digital learning hub is also taking aspirations from the experiments and the learning aspects of Desire. So we are really focusing on seeing what emerges. What are the interesting elements? What is it that's important to share when we're talking about learning and when we're talking about accessing different elements from Desire digitally? But one aspect that will definitely be part of the digital learning hub is the visual engagement tool, which you see an example of here. It's a digital app called Our Walk app. And it was developed as part of a previous European funded project and is now being applied in this project. And it's an app that collects data through photos, and these photos are being used to sort of as a sort of a dialogue tool that exemplify the different sentiments, you could say, of what it is that people who are involved in different activities are perceiving of the different places they're visiting. This is a datascape, an outcome of the data that is being collected through the digital app. And this kind of datascapes will be uploaded and being accessible through the digital learning hub for sure. You can also see it used at a very practical level in one of our sites in Denmark. You see this is a site where you have a social housing block area, but you also have different places, the landscape in between the different houses, where that needs to be transformed. And this is one of the sites involved in Desire. Here you have involved we had involved two school classes from one of the local schools. 40 young kids were involved in identifying and defining how the outdoor areas in there where they are living should look like in the future. This area is being transformed right now through architectural firms, but the outdoor area is sort of up in the air and still needs to be defined specifically. And here they have been involved using the tool, the Our Walk app, to express their sentiments. And you can see the images has been sort of assessed by different colors, where the green one represents positive sentiment, the yellow one ambiguous sentiments, and the red ones are representing negative sentiments. And those who doesn't have any circle or any color doesn't create any sentiments. So this gives an opportunity for urban planners, but also local people to become involved, even at a very early stage, in transformation projects, where it's possible at very easy level to give your assessment of what you think is nice, what is beautiful, what is attractable, what is desirable in a different urban landscape, a different urban area, and use this when you are working together with different local stakeholders. And I just come with a quote from one of the people involved in the activities that took place in this specific site. He said, "It has become very clear in the teaching process that this was part of, that there is a big difference between what an architect in Copenhagen perceives as irresistible and beautiful, and what the young people who live in this area, which is called Høje Taastrup, associates with beautiful." And this is for me very quite interesting, and I think it would be for others also. How can we involve people, citizens, young people in this case, at an early stage? And how can we also take the learning from what they perceive as beautiful, as attractive, as sustainable, as inclusive in our approaches forward when we're working with urban transformation? So this is when you're talking about our digital tool here, it provides data that you could call it a new building material that is important and relevant and very interesting in relation to create a bond, you could say, between the people who are living in these areas or may be living there in the future and the actual transformations that will be going on here. So this kind of datascapes will be included in our digital learning hub. But it's, as I also mentioned before, it's not completed yet. It's an evolving infrastructure that we still need to define specifically. We know that there will be different elements produced in Desire, narratives, analyses, plans that of course will be accessible through the hub or the website as such. Also the principles will be, and the toolbox will be accessible in a way that should be easy accessible, not just as a collected in one site, but very easy for external stakeholders and people to use and to access. And then we are also working on setting up an Irresistible Cities Lab, we call it, which is a sort of a community of practice for urban planners and people at local authority level. But potentially also involving citizens and other involved from a more practical level in urban planning and urban transformation. So all these elements can be part of our digital learning hub. But as mentioned, it's evolving. It's also emerging from where we see the real potentials are hiding. And then, just to be fair, creating a learning community is an ambitious ambition to set, and we are fully aware that we will not achieve this within the 2 years that we have in a desire to proceed with this. But we are experimenting a lot, as I mentioned. I think you can imagine that well already. But it's also important for us that, for instance, these 3 young kids, what they have learned, what they have been involved in GreenPrefab by using the digital learning tool that or the digital visual communication engagement tool that we're working with, and producing plans for their local area, the place where they live. For them to see this realized, I could imagine, is essential. So we need to keep on. We need to embed the learning that they have achieved and we have achieved from working with them into concrete transformations that support that the area they live in and stay in become an attractive place to live, attractive also in the sense of being sustainable and circular, you could say, and based on principles of inclusion and aesthetics. So this was just a brief example of what we are working with in Desire. It's still very much work in progress, as you see, but we are sort of at the moment sensing some very interesting elements that we definitely will proceed with. This just to give you a brief example of our consortium, but that's something you can find much more about at our website, and also where you can access some of the interesting stories that we already have from our activities here. So thank you. I think this is the short story from my side.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to say that it's my company who developed the app and the datascape that Ode was mentioning, and me running the engagement process through the app.
Why don't you come here and say it so that our public can...
Just to say that if somebody in the room has any questions, so I will be here and you can ask. Otherwise, it's also fine.
Can you just come here as well to so that people
also
online can hear you?
see you.
Because yeah, we have a lot of people online.
No problem. Where shall I look?
Oh, just looking.
Yes, okay. I just wanted to say that my company, that's called Volcano, is the one who developed the app that was used for this digital engagement and the datascape that you've also seen in the slides. And it was also me personally running the citizen engagement process also through the app. So should there be any questions, just drop me an email or catch me here in the corridors and let's have a chat.
Thanks a lot. So we should definitely have a chat with you, and also see if there are other things you wish to include in our offer as well in the future.
100%, definitely.
Okay, great.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you. All right. So we had a brief zoom in into some specifics of the desire. Thank you everyone so far for bearing with us, for joining us. Okay, so we move to our third section of today's talk. So we have discussed solutions in our toolkit, we have discussed e-learning modules in our catalog, and now we move to the last part of before our coffee break, and the last part is about early adopters. So it's about people adopting digital solutions that are also included in our offer and who provide examples of best practices and what they've done so far. And I want to welcome on stage Franco Vietti from GreenPrefab Lab and Richard Green from Easy Space. I believe you're going to be together presenting today, so you can sit both of you here, or you can be on stage, on the main stage. Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I am Franco Vietti from GreenPrefab, and today we are with Richard Green from Easy Space, and we are going to speak about the Modulus platform and the digital tool Tessa, which is a unique proposition in order to help off-site construction, which is one of the key drivers for the green transition towards a more sustainable and circular built environment. And in that sense, myself from GreenPrefab, we are going to speak from the early adopter perspective, and Richard Green is going to help us describe this platform also from the supply chain perspective. So what is GreenPrefab? We are an Italian company that operates internationally, and we provide services in order to boost off-site construction. So not only off-site construction, but digitalization, innovation, and energy efficiency for the built environment. And we work in project facilitations, market expansion, and innovative networks. It is evident that whenever you receive newcomers to the industry, you need to quickly assess feasibility studies in order to help them take the decision to move from traditional delivery methods towards off-site construction. And in that sense, we are going to explain one of our initiatives that from an empirical point of view, we came to the need of having a platform and a digital tool in order to assess this information. So this started in 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic. So at that time, we start to receive plenty of requests of healthcare buildings. So we start to early engage in the aggregation of demand, to receiving all the requests for healthcare buildings, and also to aggregate the supply, the part, all the manufacturers that were able to build healthcare buildings. And it was immediately evident that the lack of general design standards and the lack of technical connection with the supply chain was limiting the capacity to solve and to answer quickly to this request. That's why we start to conceive this kind of a digital approach for all this knowledge, and we came to the solution of some kind of building a digital library combined with a generative design tool. That's we started to create a digital healthcare library in this case, where from starting from 2 different sizes of volumetric modules, we were able to design all the functional spaces of a healthcare building. So we were able to define from the intensive care rooms or regular rooms of operating theaters, of nursery stations, and then all the auxiliary spaces of a building. And once we designed this kind of library, we start to work with not only the modules, but the building blocks of different combination of modules, and that we came to the different layouts and the different design possibilities of a healthcare building. Apart from that, we start to work with the relationship between all the components of the library, and these relationships are how the different building blocks are connected between themselves, not only for a physical point of view, but also from a functional point of view. For example, the ratio between the different intensive care rooms and the nursery stations, or the different spaces for an operating theater, related to the space you need for physicians or you need for recovery. And on top of that, the physical relations, that there are some spaces that need to be in the ground floor, other spaces that need to be in each floor. So all this combination and all this connection between building blocks, we define by these components relationships. And once that was done, we started to use software in order to combine those 2 informations, and we would be able to have a system that was enabling us to have some kind of very quick inputs of the requirements and program requirements of a building, in terms of how many beds, how many operation theaters, how many diagnostics and different devices. And through the software that's combining the library and the relationships, we're able to have very quick outputs of layouts, costs, measures, and performance of the building. That was a proof of concept. However, we were not able to develop further because we didn't have the capacity to connect it with the supply chain. And that's when Easy Space and Tessa came into the picture, and they are starting to solve that for housing so far, but we think that we can use it for healthcare in the future. So now this is opening a new business model for the construction, particularly for off-site construction, where you have a digital system integrator. In this case, Modulus, acting as a platform, is in charge of design and integrate the new system of the product architecture. They're not involved in the manufacturing technology. That's what they work with, long-term partnerships with the supply chain, in this case Richard, and it's a capital light digital firm. And in order to accelerate the access of this tool, they developed the digital tool Tessa, which is a cloud-based product configurator. So with this system, with the supply chain and with this digital integrator, you are able to solve the buildings to the customers or the developers. So Now, Richard.
Thanks, Franco. So before I move on to the digital tool, I'll show you how we led up to it. So we had to develop our own system to demonstrate what the digital tool can do. So we decided to do it as self so that we can demonstrate an end-to-end solution with a product. It helps show how the digital tool can be used to sort of dictate the outcome of a project, where we're showing if you are involved from design stage right through to the end, you can include information such as logistics and on-site assembly. So that's where we created Aase, which is a housing solution made from timber. We decided to use a kit of part approach. However, the system can be used for a kit of part and volumetric, but in using a kit of part, we can then put it together as a volumetric unit and demonstrate how the digital tool can help there too. We wanted to showcase how the kit of parts can be bring advantages that go past the factory door. So there are a lot of manufacturers who create large, expensive factories, and the factories are built to make the manufacture of a kit of parts really efficient. But a lot of the time the efficiency stops as soon as you leave the door. The components might be large, which require a lot of transportation, and they may be quite heavy, which require a lot of craneage on site and inside the factory as well. So we wanted to create a system that suited the site, and using our experience from site helped reduce some of the problems that you get on site. We needed it to be flexible, and it needed to be flexible aesthetically and from a specification point of view. Aesthetically, so that all the designers out there, you can create your signature buildings or make it look aesthetically pleasing. We didn't want it to be limited to one look. And then from a specification point of view as well, we need it to suit different budgets. So if you want a passive house, for example, it comes at a cost. But you can also use the system to create affordable housing. So it opens it up to local councils who want to create affordable housing. It can be used in different climates. Obviously, probably well aware that in the UK it rains a lot, so we need a lot of insulation. Whereas in Spain it's a little bit warmer. So the specifications are going to be different, and the system has to take that into account as well. Also has to take into account the different building regulations. It differs from country to country, and it needs to be flexible enough to take that in. When you change how these specifications and aesthetics, it cannot affect the costing model. So it needs to be able, to be manufactured and installed using similar methods too. We've tried to keep it sympathetic in the use of materials, so the standard parts use stock material sizes. It means that the material optimization and efficiency is over 98%, so it means that the manufacture is less, so the cost to the client is therefore less as well. It reduces waste and it reduces manufacture time because there's less processing involved in the production of it. We keep it at a human scale. So when I say human scale, we try and use as little machinery as possible, and that comes down to cranes again. It helps reduce the manufacture and assembly costs. Again, cranes cost a lot, so if you've got a large factory, you need a large space to put a crane in it, and transportation is also a lot of money as well. So we help design the whole logistic model inside the digital software. So the digital software takes all of this into account. When you're aware of the logistic issues at the design stage, it helps solve a lot of the problems where on-site delivery can sometimes cause delay and therefore costs for the client. If you input all of this information into the digital tooling, then it helps solve a lot of the problems right at design stage. On this system itself, we prioritize manual lifting, so 1 and 2 person lifts as opposed to using large cranes. Obviously, sometimes aesthetically and structurally that isn't possible, so we do then move to manually operated lifting equipment, but try and stay away from cranes as much as possible. It helps stop delays due to bad weather on site. So inside the digital tooling, you can include all of the manufacturing information. It helps speed up the process from design to manufacture, and there's less reliance on 2D drawings. With the 2D drawings, there's generally an element of human error, where you're transferring information from models into 2D PDFs. And then obviously when you're reading those 2D drawings in the manufacturing facilities, there can be errors again. Whereas if you include all of the machining coding into the digital tool, you can automatically transfer that into the factories, and it allows for worldwide distribution, and you're not limited to a central manufacturing centre. Also increases accuracy as well, because you've not got that human error. On the images, you'll be able to see that the accurate CNC machines are cut, and it includes things like the screw hole positions. So it de-skills the assembly process. So again, it helps export that, use the digital tool to export it to a worldwide marketplace, because you've created a de-skilled assembly process. So you can use local labour, you can use local factories, and it helps boost the local economy. Again, instead of bringing all of that money into a central factory, it helps export the benefits of creating a building in the local area. Inside the model as well, we try and be sympathetic to the second fix. The last thing you want to do is create a building structure really quickly that then gets chopped to bits, and it takes a lot of money to get the second fix in. So if you include the second fix information into the model, that can be included in the manufacturing information. The system itself, it's got free flow service zones vertically and horizontally, which means there's less cutting on site. When there's less cutting on site, it means the structural integrity of the building isn't compromised. If you get somebody cutting large holes in an I-beam, for example, it obviously affects the integrity of the structure. So I'll just move on to the digital software that we've been demonstrating. It's produced by a company called Modulus, and their tool is called Tessa. So we came in just helping them get the systems into that software and inputting the manufacturing and assembly information into it. So it's designed to automate an optimized housing from 1 story to 25 stories at the minute. It isn't anymore because the systems input into it don't allow for it, but in the future it will be able to. It's there to produce feasibility studies in minutes and create cost plans as well. It can be used either for the system that is already in there at the minute, or it can be used as a white paper. If you've got your own system out there, you can input all of the components into Tessa and all of the design information so that it kicks out information bespoke to your system. It means that you can help build up your local supply chain and get a high-speed install too. So it works by, you draw a plot around an existing piece of land, and then in the system you select the system type that you want to use, and you put some parametric information into there on the building types that you want as well. It then creates various layouts for the system and gives you that the parameter details. So it'll kick out 8 or 10 different building profiles or development profiles, and it shows the red blocks show where the system cannot be used, so you may have to go back to the design board and look at either a more traditional approach or use another system that's in the Tessa database to make up that part of the building. You can adjust the 3D views around the plot for better detailing, so you can see how it affects the local buildings. And you can adjust the parameters as well. So if you want more living space, for example, or more communal space, you can put that into the parameters and it'll change your configurations around for it. From the initial feasibility studies, you can create detailed floor plans, and it gives you a bill of material from the structural inputs of the system. So from a really early stage, you can get very accurate pricing information where it's less of an estimate. More importantly, you can input carbon information into the system too. So obviously from a kit apart approach, you know how much carbon is in each component, and you can put that into the Tessa and it'll give you your carbon footprint of the development. I think, as I mentioned earlier, it can be used for a kit apart system and a volumetric system as well. It can be used to just use one single system, or modular to creating a centralized database with multiple systems in there. So if a developer comes along and wants a large development, there will be less of the red block areas where a system can't be used, because it's got a central database of systems that can be used where it produces the bill of materials for. And again, the manufacturing information is also included. So we're using it to put the codes in for the machines that we use at the minute, but it can be used for a number of different machines and CNCs, so that you can, if it wants to be used in Spain, for example, we'll find out what machines are used in Spain, and we can export the CNC information so that it reduces that human error again, and makes it a bit more efficient from design to manufacture.
Thank you, Richard. Well, to end, let me step back and go back to a point in the big picture. We need to understand that off-site construction is one of the most important pillars of the green transition for the built environment. We need to consider that 40% of the energy is consumed by the built environment, and 50% of the drinkable water is consumed. And so far, the built environment hasn't changed over the last 50 years. So considering that importance, having a digital tool like this allows to compile all the knowledge we've heard from Richard, which are the best practice of manufacturing, the best practice of assembly, the best practice of the design and engineers, and also in the future the best practice of the collecting information for other stakeholders like the users. It's really very important to have a digital platform that can collect, has embedded all that information in order to target the new stakeholders that they need to change the way they are building. In that sense, it is important because you are including the manufacturing in a digital model. You also include the control of the supply chain. You can assess feasibility studies and later execution in a very quick way, and it's a solution that allows you to scale and to have a worldwide scope. So far, that's the presentation. I thank you all, and if you have further questions, we're going to be here with Richard, so we can, answer any kind of doubt or question that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Franco and Richard, and also thank you to all the speakers. We have now approached basically the end of the first part, which was the largest part of the event. You were all very timely, so we are actually ahead of schedule. We'll try to exploit this by trying to also close the event a little bit earlier, so no need for the event to stay until 7. We plan to close it earlier, and so this is an announcement also for those of you who are attending online. We are gonna have now a quick coffee break. For those who are here, we have it already in the back of the room. For those who are online, please use these next 10 minutes to stretch your legs and take a break, and then we will be again connected at 5. So this is an announcement also for our last remote speakers, Coscia and Loredana, to please come back a little bit earlier, so we'll have your interventions at 5 earlier than scheduled, and then we'll close with the final discussion with the panelists here in presence. So thank you very much for the attention so far, and see you at 5. Hello? What is this? Okay. So we are back. I ask the people in the room to slowly come back in the rows here to sit. So we conclude the second part of the event. I don't know if Coscia and Loredana are already online. If you can. Reply to me.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Coscia, perfect.
I'm here too.
Let's wait 1 minute for people in the room to come back. So as I said, we are ahead of schedule. We were, very, very conservative in our timing, and so other people are also joining. Welcome. Yes. So we are starting again. I see that people online are also reconnecting. So welcome again in the chat. We are finishing the coffee break, and now we move to the last final part, let's say, of the event, that is about the next steps. So the initial part of the event was focused on discussing the assets of digiNEB, the digital toolkit, the e-learning, the early adopters, the success stories, and all the other projects that have cooperated with us using these assets. And the last part will be instead focusing first on 2 presentations from NEB Lighthouse projects that we have connected online. And after these presentations, we'll conclude with a panel discussion with speakers that are in the room, okay, discussing about the next steps and the next activities for their own projects and for digital and NEB. So without further ado, I would like to leave the floor to Coscia. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Yes, I see you also.
Perfectly fine.
You should
Thank
be
you.
able to share your screen.
Yes.
And we would see it projected also here shortly for the audience in our room here.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
Coscia is representing the project CULTUUR&CAMPUS, and she will give us an overview of their activities and their approach in applying the NEB methodology in a European level. So thank you, Coscia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to take part in this event and to present some first outcomes of this project that started last year and as one of 6 lighthouse projects within the European Bauhaus funding framework as Horizon project. What I would like to discuss first, however, is how, from the methodological point of view, the European Bauhaus and the related European Bauhaus Compass could be considered as an algorithm itself. And in this framing, it offers an approach that could develop and implement sustainable and inclusive projects, and also highlight the aesthetic assets and the beauty of projects in built environment, in rural and urban habitats. And why I propose to see European Bauhaus as a framework, as an algorithm, because this is a systematic and iterative approach that has concrete objectives, concrete ways to be taken, and concrete curiosity that is rising and being even bigger along the way while the projects are being implemented. And when you could take the Bauhaus as a tool, also as a guidebook, you will have various opportunities to play with the values and working principles and design your own algorithms with stakeholders in an inclusive and supportive ways, also doing it in a transdisciplinary approach and engaging various levels in order to discover new governance models. So when we consider the way that it's need to be taken with this approach, we are starting with needs, and then we are trying to achieve some changes. And the way is not an easy one, as you can see in this line. It's rather unsmooth process, and this is done on purpose in this way, designed on purpose to highlight also the challenges that can be approached along the way. And I think the European Bauhaus is not claiming that there are no challenges along the way. On the contrary, it brings simple verbs actually to activate thinking how to design the process, taking into account that this won't be easy, but yet engaging, affirmative. And during one of the previous presentation, I heard the term care. I think this approach also offers cares. When it comes to the method and the methodology, the inspiring part for project implementation is that the project management itself becomes design and can be conducted both in the physical way and in the digital way, and actually in a hybrid way, when you bring both worlds together and you also considered your project as an algorithm that could be conducted in various environments. And the simplicity that is provided by the European Bauhaus itself, but also by the Compass, is actually an invitation to be innovative, to go for a novelty, to think out of the box. And I would highlight a lot the simplicity, which is also often connected to the, perhaps not necessarily the algorithms as such, because they are quite complicated nowadays. But I think when you think about building blocks that are attached to each other and should give you an answer in the form of a roadmap or a recipe, how to go to your changes, addressing your needs, I think the simplicity is quite important. And to illustrate this, I would like to introduce the project Culture and Campus, which is conducted in Rotterdam South. The background information are provided here. This is a place-based project with some partners active at the European level, including eClub Europe, I'm representing here, but also ELIA, and with many local partners also in charge of bringing together various voices and diverse stakeholders. And this project is aiming to develop new learning experiences and new learning models, highlighting shared knowledge and shared ambitions to learn from each other. It highlights culture, ecology, but also society as such, the local entrepreneurship, various ways to be innovative and to rediscover and redesign the building that is being under construction in this project as well. So there is a physical space that is being developed, and also this physical space should be used by various art schools. So this project is also unique because it is addressing kind of niche, which is related to the art schools as also important players in implementing European Bauhaus in cities. Since we have in Europe many art schools and many educational facilities which are dealing with arts, crafts, and so on, this could be an important asset in implementing European Bauhaus projects and various initiatives and formats that we already learned about today. When it comes to future-oriented approach, driven by the European Bauhaus values and working principles, this project is being considered as a long journey. So there will be physical space next year. The experiences made and the collected knowledge will be disseminated and upscaled and replicated. So there will be also research outcomes, including, for example, a MOOC that will be launched for a wider audience. The aim is also to build trust, also to be able to think and walk beyond the framework of this particular Horizon funding scheme, and to implement similar projects even beyond the year 2030. There should be another arts University of the Arts nearby in Rotterdam as well. And when it comes to the digital methodology for inclusion, which is one of the core values of the European Bauhaus, the digital tools, various digital tools are used in this project for information and communication. This is, I guess, quite obvious. However, there's also more. There's a digital dashboard under development for this project to facilitate the dialogue with stakeholders and to make the inclusion even more powerful. And what is also important that the local team mapped various initiatives in the digital environment. So it means that they discovered the tools that are already used in the area. And this was the case for the NDAM South. And it means that they didn't have to develop something new, but they actually went beyond growth locally, beyond growth of the digital tools to be implemented, to be added as something new, as something additional, but rather reused and circulated the tools that were already there. So they regenerated as well the digital landscape. And in this case, this map that you can see here as a screenshot. And there is also attention and focus on the post-digital strategies to also use the digital tools and as an invitation to meet in person. And I think this is also something important to highlight, that in place-based project, digital infrastructure that is built as an additional architecture to implement European Bauhaus project actually is still human-based and human-centered, and should bring people closer to each other in physical settings as well. When it comes to the digital methodology for beauty, the digital tools are mainly considered in this project as the medium of expression. This is also because the art schools are highly involved in digital arts as such, but also stakeholders are invited to share arts and creativity that they are developing on their own using digital methods. And they are considered the creators of digital media content. And what is also important, particular in this area, with various cultural backgrounds that are present there, there is a need and interest in seeing digital methods and tools to develop arts and beauty as also as a revenue stream for artists. So many of them are already earning some money with crypto coins and are using the formats that are available to really being in the circulation of digital arts and doing this quite professionally. This kind of tools are also used to build visual narratives, to bring together the communities, as I also mentioned before, and to share knowledge addressing various polycrises that we are facing now as a global community. And the third value, sustainability, what is also being realized by the project team is that actually everyone is using ChatGPT when it comes to dialogue with the stakeholders. This is quite an obvious tools also for younger people. So this project can even grow with the AI that is still evolving. And so it's also surprising for me that ChatGPT appeared only a few months ago and other related tools, but actually it already became the obvious part of a working environment and daily production of communication and knowledge and how we gather information. So this is also considered to realizing what are the opportunities, but also the challenges, and to map the building blocks of social resilience, which is also considered part of the previously mentioned post-digital strategy. So how can we use this particular momentum now also to think about what comes beyond and how we can deal with the digital tools to build something that would go beyond if this is needed. So when we bring together the areas of intervention in this particular project, and when we think about the European Bauhaus as framework for building and applying your own algorithm of change in addressing your needs that you first, of course, needs to recognize, map, and frame with the stakeholders, I would highlight the digital intervention on the side of cultural production, knowledge sharing, but also knowledge generating, and I think also co-creating and co-implementing for various educational formats. The digital tools should be considered means of critical reflection, also when it comes to the interaction with AI. The post-digital strategies as part of building local resilience, and the integration of opportunities also happens with the digital tools, and this could be also used for mapping challenges related to the digital revolution as well. And here, before I conclude, I would say that integrating opportunities could be really very nicely illustrated by the fact that the digital landscape is being regenerated with the tools that are reused, reapplied, and broaden a little bit in their scope to address the local needs in the best way. So that's it from my side. Please take a look at the project homepage, and I'm glad to hear about the other project from the same call. And if there are any questions, I would be also gladly to answer, perhaps via email, or you can always approach us as a project team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Coscia. Again, as we said before, if you have any questions, Coscia is gonna stay connected a little bit more. Also, she put her email address in the slides I saw. You can also copy it in the chat for people that want to reach out to you directly. We have one last presentation from Loredana Stasisin, the Eyes, Hearts, Hands Urban Revolution project. Loredana, I see you already there connected. So Loredana will give her presentation on the experience of applying the NEB methodology in her project. And then I want to give, let's say, an announcement to the people in the room. After Loredana's intervention, we're gonna have the final panel discussion. But my colleagues are gonna rearrange a little bit the layout of the room. We'd prefer to have it, as a discussion, given also the number of people here it allows. So we'll have the discussion and the questions that we have prepared in a more informal way, let's say. And those who are online, you can still stay connected, and we'll make sure you can see what's happening in the room for the final part. So after this announcement, thank you again, Coscia, and welcome, Loredana. The floor is yours.
Hi, hello, good evening or good afternoon. We are somewhere in between now. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I take the opportunity to congratulate the speakers and their partners for the wonderful work that they're doing. It's recomforting to see these things happening outside our bubble. So thank you very much for the work. Now, Eyes, Hearts, Hands, Urban Revolution. It's also one of the first 6 European Bauhaus based Horizon Europe project. We started last October. And basically our motto is the urban revolution starts from us. And by us, meaning us all together, not only the group in Eyes, Hearts, Hands. And Eyes, Hearts, Hands stands for aesthetically viable and socially accepted urban transformation, inclusive and socially fair involvement of local communities, and concrete engagement actions for full sustainability. We are putting citizens at the very center of our initiative. And how we want to do so? Well, by co-designing technological tools, by crafting co-financing mechanisms, and co-creating an aesthetic approach. At Eyes, Hearts, Hands, we are working with 7 lighthouses. 6 are from European Union, 1 is from an associated country. These are the lighthouse districts. We are working with urban renovations, and we hope to inspire not only the districts, but also the municipalities around these places where we do the interventions. So the first lighthouse number 1, at least on our list, is in Denmark. And it's very interesting. I will go through each of them because you will see each of them has a very specific challenge. So Denmark is doing a renovation on a residential neighborhood. And their main challenge is to basically deal with identitary shift of the neighborhood and to create new forms of sense of belonging. Then another lighthouse is in Greece, and the renovation there happens in a school. There are multiple buildings, but basically what we are doing is working with places of learning. So the challenge would be to do sustainable renovations that are aiming for a regenerative approach. Further on in Belgium, we are having lighthouse number 3. And what is very intriguing here, they do have a mix of buildings that they are going to approach. They are creating a local cultural hub, but also creating a social housing. But the most interesting part here is that nearby there is a psychiatric center, a very important one. And in doing the urban renovation, the lighthouse aims to create a place of interaction for the places from this psychiatric center with the local community. So that would be their main challenge during our project. We also have one lighthouse in Portugal, and this is about social housing. And what's particularly interesting is that the neighborhood, Sobreiro, it's one of the first social housing project that happened in Maya and in Portugal. And now they are one of the first doing a sustainable urban renovation. So they are very, they are on new ground. They were in the beginning working with newness, and now again, they're in the forefront. And social housing means affordability. This is the key concept around the renovation, but also they are dealing with climate change and hazardous events. And when working with social housing, one of the challenges is how to activate and engage the existing community. So this is Maya. Then we move on to Izmir in Turkey. So we are outside the boundaries of the European Union. And in Izmir, we are in an UNESCO site. And it's not an urban renovation there. It's not an existing building that we are working with. We are actually doing an intervention in the UNESCO site with a contemporary, absolutely new building. So the challenge would be how to do that in a sustainable, inclusive, and overall integrative way. And the sixth one is in Croatia, and it's about public space. The lighthouse means 1 street and 3 parks. And here the basic challenge is how to engage the local community, knowing that the whole project is coordinated by the municipality. So having the community here in the center of this redevelopment of public space and the activation of the public space, it's their main challenge. And for the 7th one, we are going to Italy in Biodistretto, where we are in a rural area, somewhere in between urban and rural space. And we are working with a community of elders who are faced now with new technology. So this is our main challenge here in Italy. Now, European Bauhaus means co-designing. And for us, when we started last October, one of the partners of Eyes, Heart, Hands, the main challenge was how are we going to approach co-designing? Because we are the partners working mostly remote, online. There are lighthouses, we communicate with the communities, but we don't interact directly with the communities that are going to be impacted by our work. So that was one of the key issues that we had to decide and craft in the beginning. So this is the structure of work packages in our project. It's very important, I think, to know the fact that we have work packages 2, 3, and 4 working in parallel. These 3 work packages are basically community engagement, sustainable financial plans, and building and district renovation. And these are basically the core, the foundational core of the project. And then we have the other work packages, just making sure that whatever we are producing within these work packages is disseminated farther on and hopefully replicated after the project is completed. As part of the work package 4, where me and Carlo Battisti as we are at Living Future Europe, we are leading the work package for. We took the co-design to this structure of processes. So co-designing for us meant a process in 8 phases. That meant mapping the landscape, defining the framework, development of the content for the work package, and then to do all these processes of not only just validation, but also disseminating whatever we are producing. So everything is thought in terms of co-designing and trying to engage not only with the partners in our work package, but also having lighthouses together with us who further on are engaging the local communities. That was a very important thing for us. And regarding the first phase, the joint questionnaire for mapping the landscape, that's a very interesting thing because we came together, the technical work package with the financial and the social one, and we produced one questionnaire that was sent in December to the municipalities that were part of the project, and we produced 120 questions that were from all these fields in order to understand what are the specific challenges for each of the lighthouses. That was a very important aspect for us. Now, one of the interesting aspects was that when we started in October, and I assume that each of us Horizon Europe project, in the beginning, we didn't have the compass. The compass was published in the beginning of this year. So it was very interesting while we were trying to figure out how to co-design to, in the middle of the process, to discover this NEB compass, giving us not only the values, but also the working principles and the guiding framework farther on. So the next thing was to explain what is NEB, to explain what is NEB for the lighthouses, for the municipalities, and they further to explain for the communities, and also to explain and to understand what is NEB for us internally during the development process and implementation process of the Aase Højlund Nielsen project. So basically for the municipality, we started to simplify the concept, and we spoke about, and we introduced new concepts like system thinking. So to make them understand that when we want to do a NEB project, we really need to think in terms of systems and complexity. We try to speak about co-creation, that by doing co-creation that enables imagination, and also human-centered design was one of the concepts that were very important for us. And in doing this introductory part, we went with telling the fable of the hummingbird from Peru. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the fable says that it was a big fire in the big forest and all the animals were running away while the hummingbird went to pick up drops of water in order to continue to try to save the forest. And all the animals from the side started to laugh and to criticize the hummingbird of the useless effort. And the hummingbird said, I'm doing the best that I can. And this is how we basically explained the NEB way to our dear partners from the lighthouses, that it's basically about the process and it is about doing the best that we can. So on the other end, we had our internal discussion about what it is NEB for us and how to measure the NEBishness of this project that are aiming to be NEB project in the end, NEB renovations, NEB architectural interventions. And I think one of the big learnings so far was to think, at least, to consider multi-criteria analysis. So in measuring KPIs, we discovered that if we approach NEB, we are going to deal in the same time with qualitative parameters and quantitative parameters. If those that are about numbers are easy to understand and measure, we are familiar with them. With a qualitative, it's something else. And it's also something else when you have to blend them together. So perhaps this is one of the interesting aspects on this side in understanding how to measure the NEBishness for later on. So last month, we arrived to our first year anniversary, and what happened during the first year was to set the methodological framework. That was the major objective of our work. And we produced 3 catalogs, one technical, one for social engagement, and one for financial aspects. Each of these catalogs are aiming to support the theoretical part to help the lighthouses to further develop their renovations. And here I'm going to speak a bit more about the technical work package, because this is where I was part of. And but it's kind of the similar process happening with the other 2 as well. So for us, the first year was about the catalog of best practices solutions and integrated selection method. And now we have started already working. Uniroma 3 is doing this task 4.2 about tools to accompany the digital and green transitions at building, district, and city scale. And then we have other 2 partners, Rina and CERT, that are going to cover the following 2 tasks. It's important to know that I think in the first year, we worked in parallel, technical, social, and financial. But now we are entering a new phase. We are starting to integrate them together. So on one hand, within each work package, we are moving on and we are building the next task on basing on the previous one, but also we are working systemically because we need to also integrate in the work of the other work packages. So that makes things a little bit trickier, I would say. So the catalog of best practices solutions and integrated selection method is a story in 4 acts. This is how we called it. So we do have an introductory part, which is about the knowledge, and it is about the theoretical framework. And we did the best that we could in trying to explain NEB in an accessible language so that it's easy to understand for whoever is going to read it, whether it's someone from our project or outside, because all this information is soon going to be accessible for free for everyone. The second part, which is an annex number 1, it's this analysis of the joint questionnaire. And we called it like the focus on, because through the questionnaire, we try to identify the local specificity to understand each of the lighthouses, where we should put together the effort in developing the project, but also we try to understand the whole group of the lighthouses, how we can stand as a project, as an inspiration for other projects to come. And the core part of the catalog is this annex to the collection of 300 good practices examples. And with the second task that is ongoing now, we are going to translate this collection, which now is an Excel table. This is going to become a digital tool so that our partners and whoever will need it can work with it in a digital way and friendly, hopefully. And we also considered what is going to happen beyond Aase Højlund's hands. We are going to close our project in 2025, but we know that these districts are going to continue their efforts to keep up with the world later on. So we wanted to give them something for beyond Aase Højlund's hand. So we selected 30 of the good practices examples, and we set basically, best case scenario. In an ideal world, with the knowledge that we have today, this is what the perfect world would look like. So this is a bit of information about the introductory part and how a multi-criteria analytical system is aiming to articulate an Aase Højlund's hands urban renovation theoretical framework. And we put a lot of emphasis on the systemic approach. We consider that NEB is the new part that the European Bauhaus brings. It's about a systemic approach. And how do you think systemic? That is very important. Also, regenerative design. It's perhaps popular among us already working in urban renovation, but for many people, it's not very clear what means regenerative design. This is how the questionnaire looked like in terms of analysis. So we had in this blue, grayish blue, there were the questions. The columns are for each of the lighthouses. And we had a summary of conclusions at the bottom part. It was the horizontal analysis with the specificity of each of the lighthouses. And vertically here, we had conclusions conclusions that were assigned to each of the questions. And we looked at the group of the lighthouses to see where is the common ground. And when I say us, I say the 5 partners of the work package, and we co-designed these answers as well. Like, we negotiated what is the specificity of each of the lighthouses and where are we going to put our focus. So that was a very, very funny part, I think. The collection of 300. So this is our main legacy, I would say, of this catalog. So the table that we structured includes a section with 14 categories of projects. They are starting from thinking in terms of architectural intervention. What do you need when you do an architectural project? You work with installations, with structures, and with architectural elements. But you also think in terms of how to integrate the architectural project at the city scale. So these categories are basically city, neighborhood, street, building, and the others are elements related to the actual building. And what you see with yes, it's basically the dominant element that we considered relevant, but we also checked because these architectural projects are never simple. They tackle multiple aspects. So where we thought they are interesting from also other points of view, we checked that also. And in black here, you will see filters, ranking criteria. And we had a section for levels of sustainability, NEB values, and lighthouses match. All of these ranking systems were negotiated among us, the work package partners. So we had a peer review approach. And another interesting thing is that each of the partners contributed with case studies. So, and we let this information in the table so that whoever is interested in a particular case study can reach back to the partner that proposed the project in order to ask for more information. And this is our selection.
Loredana, excuse me.
Yes.
Just looking at timing, if you could come
5 minutes.
The conclusions. Thank you.
Sure. Yes. And now the selection of 30. It's structured something like that. This is us during the General Assembly last month. And this is how our work happened face-to-face after 1 year. And the important thing I would say here is now the municipalities are entering the phase where they are producing tendering documents for the actual renovations. It is important to know that our project is dealing only with advising and structuring theoretical part and doing research, but the project doesn't involve money for the actual renovation. So if the municipality doesn't want to take our advice, they can go on further on their own way. And the biggest surprise was when we met, as you see here, they told us, most of them, that they are going to integrate the catalogs and the NEB compass and so many other details that we've worked on in their tendering documents. And that was the first confirmation that what we've done was so far good enough. Now, speaking of smart cities and digital tools, in blue, you will see, so we worked on paper on site, and in blue is the conversation around the digital tools that are going to be created as part of our project. And the interesting aspect here is that we are shifting now from co-designing to facilitation. So each of the lighthouses is going to craft their own digital tools, their own approach on explaining energy data in terms of visualization. So we try to find the common ground and to tailor custom-made systems, and we hope to create awareness. And I will conclude with this image from one of the workshops that was coordinated by Roma 3, and this is how they do the conversation around energy data visualization. So thank you very much, and I hope it is helpful for you as well. This is us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Loredana. So we are approaching the end of this event. I would like to thank all the people who were present here in the room and are still here for the final panel discussion. Also give a warm thanks to all the people that are still connected online. As I anticipated before, we are now organizing the final discussion directly in the room, so we are gonna ask the support. So I'm just going to entertain you 5 minutes because we have to wait for the colleagues to change the layout of the room and have all our panelists sit in a circle, so this becomes a nice discussion, trying to reflect on what we have presented so far. So we will have among our speakers some of the people that we have already met before. So we will have, for instance, Eva, we will have Franco and Richard, we will have Deekshitha, we will have also new speakers that I will introduce in a moment. We will have Cristina LaBianca, an architect. We will have Odd Vigne from NEB-Star project, and we will have Deborah Navarra from Craft project. You will see them in a moment. While we get ready for commenting with them the results and initiatives that we have presented before, I would just like to thank again all the speakers and also acknowledge again all the partners that have worked together with us to achieve all these interesting results and interesting connections in the first year. There is also Mar from Delft and EAE that has joined us in the last part. So thank you also to her for coming here with us. And I think that's it. I would like also to thank personally Claudio, Vittoria, Valeria, and Ruben from the team and Rita, who is supporting us online, for organizing all of this. And thanks again to all the partners of digiNEB and to all the speakers. I think we are almost there, right? Just let's use another couple of minutes to stretch our legs, and I will be back in the mic in a few minutes for those online who are following us still. So I think we are ready. Should be enough. So can I please ask everyone to come back again? Oh, Michael. Hi. What happened? So many other things. We just had a Oh, I see. So please include. Oh, you are perfectly on time. So you can just put yourself here. We'll have two microphones actually. One is there. So let me introduce. I hope that people online, despite the movement, can still hear me. Can someone in the tech room can confirm it's going well? Okay. So let's introduce our speakers. We have Deborah Navarra from Craft Project. Deborah, you're there. Hi. Welcome. Take a seat. Yeah. Then we have Michael Mulquin from OASC. Thank you, Michael, for still coming despite your accident there. We have Cristina LaBianca. Cristina is there. Hi, welcome, Cristina. Odd Vigne, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, I'm not sure, from the NEB-Star project. Then we have Eva Coscia again, that we met before, from R2M. We have Franco Vietti there, and Richard Green, that are our early adopters, and Deekshitha Bangalore from Urbanistic, right? Yes. So let's do like this. I will take a seat as well. Let me give you the mic.
Hello.
And so, if you wanna also, the first time you speak, you can also introduce yourself a little better than I did.
Okay.
So, for those of you who are here and those who are online, we are in the final panel discussion with the speakers that I presented and a few more people from the audience. The idea is that we discuss with, let's say, 3 rounds of main topics and main questions that I will ask to the main panelists, but also if someone else wants to add, since we are, in this intimate mood now, you can do that. The idea is that we start in a first round where we try to listen some more experiences about the application of NEB methodology with or also without, depends on the project, the use of digital solutions. So first question is to you, Deborah, looking at your project. What are, the examples that you can make us in terms of NEB application, in terms of your pilots and use cases, and what are you working on as a priority in the initiative?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah Navarra. I'm part of a Smart and Sustainable Cities group. Here, my colleagues. We coordinate CRAFT, that stands for Creating Actionable Future, and is part of the NEB project, but we are specifically a coordination and support action. So I'm going to introduce you just a little bit what we do as a craft, and then I have a question for you. So, so I'm going to turn to you. So we work with the 3 Sun cities, Amsterdam, Prague, and Bologna. And we, in our network, we have over 70 cities. And we help and support them in the creation of, helping them to fit in the NEB, in the net zero emissions, of course, and to create a collaborative governance path, let's say. But also what we do, we work with the students. Actually, we have a think tank with students, and where students are actually involved in organizing and propose their idea or future or what they want to see after 2013, because we have 2013 as a final deadline, but we would like to see, we want to see the future and what is going on after it. And so students, the new generation, actually are actively involved in this. We are building also a guideline that we call a cookbook, where we collect all these received, let's say, best practice. And the challenge actually that we are facing and what we want to do actually is how to put together all this knowledge and all the tools that these cities are using. So we are collecting, we are learning, we are trying to understand, listening what the cities are doing, and try to figure out not to propose new tools, either digital or whatever, but try to use it in the best way. Because the challenge here, it's all for us a list, and I think for also in the compass is about balancing the aspects. So of course we have the social aspect, we have the governance aspect, we have the economical aspect, healthy aspect, and environmental. And usually what we see that is the focus is really unbalancing the environmental part. And of course, and technology is helping that part, but what we're gonna do with the rest, because it's not enough for, the European Bauhaus method and approach, of course, is about beauty, but it's not just aesthetics. It's about identity, it's about is restricted connect to inclusivity, of course, and how we can do it. And my question to you is how we can integrate actually the digital part in balancing all these aspects. So this
Thank you very much, Deborah. So you can give it back to me. I don't know if anyone wants to answer Deborah's question about how to integrate digital aspects and digital tools and technologies in their activities. If anyone has an immediate thought, you can, grab your chance, or we'll leave the question open and maybe we'll try to summarize some insights at the end after the discussion. Actually, one concrete question could come already by NEB-Star, because NEB-Star instead has already done something about digital. We have a digital toolkit. I think it's similar to the one we have with digiNEB. And so maybe you can try and address partially this point, telling us, Odd, what is that you are doing in terms of digital solutions with NEB-Star.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Odd Vinje. I'm from Norway, the city of Stavanger on the southwestern coast of Norway. The oil city in Norway, so we have a lot of things to do for the future regarding sustainability. I am a computer engineer, software developer, and now I'm a project manager and responsible for the digital dimension in the NEB-Star project, which is part of the NEB. So in our project we have 16 partners, universities, public companies, private companies, real estate developers, social entrepreneurs, startups, yeah, all sectors in the society are quite good covered, and that is a very good team working together. So regarding the digital solutions, we have started using digital twin. So we have scanned all our cities with a drone, with a laser scanning all the buildings, all the streets, so we can have digital models of everything. And we have put on the map the streets, everything you can see visually is in that digital model. But that is not important, because that's just a digital model. What is important is the use cases. So and that is important for me as a technologist. I need to say that technology is not important. Digital solution is not important, it's the use cases that is important. That we must use time for, not using time for the technology, but the use cases, the value. So we have started looking at the use cases for this digital twin, and we have now put up 6 or 7 use cases which will give us value. And I cannot go into details in everything, but one case is that we are now using this digital twin, this digital model of the city, as part of the city planning and city developing process, together with architects, together with our municipality. So we can look at the common digital screen and see the changes we do and discuss the changes. Can you move that a little bit left? Can you do that? What happens if you do this? Just do it in the digital model as you speak. That is very effective. People see the changes straight away, and then you have this good discussion. So that is one use case of the digital twin. Another digital tool is the barcode, which Utrecht in Netherlands have developed. So we are going to deliver data to Utrecht in Netherlands into the barcode tool, which is a tool to measure the capacity in an area regarding energy, green areas, working places, infrastructure, roads, etc., before you start planning a new area for new houses, for example, or new apartments or other infrastructure. So you need to know what is the capacity in this area, what do you need, and start with just start building. So barcode is number 2, and we have like 4 or 5 digital tools, which we are, some of them are already in use, some of them are work in progress. For a couple of weeks ago, we started for the first time a code week. I know that this is a common term in Europe. It was the first time in our city. We gathered together 30 kids in a public library where they could start learning coding, Python and Scratch. And we sent out a message on LinkedIn for our whole network and just asked, are there any voluntarily coders, developers that can come and help and learn these kids programming, coding? And we had a long list with 13 junior and senior developers from a university and from consultant companies coming together, using 2 hours of their free time, teaching young kids to develop in Python and Scratch. And that is also a kind of digital tool to include the local community, to include people. So that is, it's not a digital tool, but we call it a tool. Yeah. So that is number 3. And we have more on the list. I'm not going into all the details. But that's some examples of digital tools we are using in the NEB-Star project.
Thank you. Thank you all. These are very interesting. I also like, I think you can pass it to Cristina. I also like your example of this collaborative approach where you scouted online with an announcement all the people that could contribute. That's what we also try to create with digiNEB, try to move a response from the community to come and help and offer their services, their tools, their experience, their learnings. And while you were explaining NEB-Star, you also mentioned it's a project that touches many different types of users and stakeholders, and you also mentioned as part of the social impact you are focusing on engaging with startups. And we have Cristina here, who is representing a startup. Urban Revision is the name of your startup, and you are working on urban renovation. So tell us, Cristina, your experience with your startup and what you're trying to do, and also how it connects with the NEB approach and the NEB values.
Yeah, so hi everybody, I'm Cristina LaBianca, I'm an architect and a urban planner. I focus mainly my work on sustainability and urban regeneration. Why urban regeneration? Because I think that cities now are facing the most important challenge to decarbonize by 2030, and cities are the places in the world in which are most populated, because we have to think that 80% of people live right now in the cities, and this number is going to grow by 2050. So we have to take care about our cities, thinking how to do not increase the dimension of cities, but to maintain the current direction and regenerate what is inside already there. So with these ideas in mind, I actually work also on social innovation and social impact projects in Italy and abroad. And I really believe that sustainability has 3 dimensions, like Deborah was, mentioning before, like not only environmental impact, but also the social, economical dimension. And I believe that I travel a lot, and I saw a lot of projects with the same DNA in different cities from different climates, and I just think that it's not possible to do it anymore. So every climate, every places have a culture, have a tradition, and architecture, and especially public spaces have to take care about it. So our cities became places in which people can live and express themselves. So with this in mind, I just joined this year Carbon 13, which is a venture capital for climate emergency in Berlin that actually is a spin-off of University of Cambridge, with an idea in mind to create something to bring together people, citizens, cities, governments, architects, urban planners, all the actors that take care about cities. And comes to my mind the idea, of course, I worked on the startup, which is called Urban Revision, which is a SaaS tool to decarbonize urban areas, taking in consideration also environmental, social, and economical aspects. It's a pre-seed stage startup, so I'm at the beginning of it. But basically, it's a SaaS tool based on urban data analysis and urban mapping of data and generative AI to basically analyze cities from the inner part and generating ideas of urban regeneration possibility. So taking in consideration land sparing intervention and nature-based solution to regenerate urban areas. Actually, this tool can help, like Odd was saying before, is a tool that you can visualize quickly the solutions that can be applied to cities, and citizens can see, and also government can see the potential of cities, because I think that in cities hide some inner treasure that no one can see, but as soon as you show up the potentiality of a land that is unused, you got attention of people, and you also can attract investment there, because we have to think that urban regeneration projects require a large amount of financing. So this means that if you are able to attract interest on an area that is underused, you can have a lot of impact, not only on land, but also on the people that live that area. And this was the aim of, this is the aim of the tool, to basically bring together all the actors and stakeholders with a tool that can help them and teach them and to drive solutions for a climate resilient cities and for a happy, inclusive, and more sustainable place. So that's why it's so connected with the new European Bauhaus main aim and scope.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cristina. You mentioned important topics of, bringing together in a solution the perspective of different actors and the importance of having, relying on the collection of a large amount of data. And when we talk about data, about digital solutions and solutions in general, one topic comes immediately to mind that is also partly a challenge, how to ensure, interoperability among all the data and all the solutions. And so I think this gives us a nice occasion to move to another round, so to touch upon other aspects in the discussion, more on the challenges of, implementing in practical terms the NEB concept of integration, inclusion, and interoperability. And so ask, starting with Michael, that you're representing OASC, is also part of the for SCC, our sister CSA. What's your view in terms, of your expertise in this area? We cooperated already in interoperability, services, and standardization, etc. So what do you see as the challenges in this domain, and what could be the solutions, or what's already being done to overcome the challenges in the field?
Whole series of questions.
Yeah, it was more a general comment.
Well, it's a big challenge. I mean, first of all, apologies that I couldn't come before, because it's actually quite disrespectful to come and just to talk in a way, because I know you've covered lots of really interesting things earlier, but unfortunately for all sorts of reasons I wasn't free, and I wanted to make sure I could be here at least for this bit. But of course, I mean, the challenge that we're facing with digital tools is, I mean, digital tools, I love the thing you said about it's the use cases that's important. It's not about digital woo, it's about finding ways that we can use the collection and the exploitation of data to help us understand better what needs to be done, to get involved, to ensure that communities could be more involved in decision making, to make sure that our urban environment is designed to be more beautiful, more sustainable, all sorts of things like that. And that's what we're really trying to find out, is how the digital world can help with those really important human concerns that we have. And of course the challenge is that this is all fairly new, and lots of us are trying to do different things which nobody else has done, or which nobody else we knows about have done, but maybe somebody else is doing it somewhere else, or something similar to us but not quite the same as us. And so you know, this is a really important part of creativity, as we're trying to learn new and effective ways of linking the digital with the you know, the life and all the rest of it, how to make it work well and seamlessly. And so there's the challenge really is that there's one key challenge is fragmentation, in the sense that, you know, lots of us are working on our own to try and develop useful things. There may be other people doing great things, but we don't know about them. And this is one big challenge. How can we put people in touch with each other and help to get more collaboration going on all of these issues? You know, it's not altogether bad because everything's new, and, you know, let 1,000 flowers bloom kind of thing. And in a way, what you don't want to do is to tell everybody you've got to do what the first person who's done it has done. You want to get experimentation going, but at the same time, what you'll need to do is also make sure that the different approaches are able to be aligned better, so that we can start to bring a really consistent approach. So fragmentation is a big challenge here, and that's part of having a community, you know, like digiNEB, to try and bring people together who are focused on the same kind of goal. So, you know, so that's one issue, and it's a real difficulty to try and work out how to allow real creativity and slightly different approaches to really get the best understanding of what's going to work, but at the same time not letting everything go in all sorts of different directions, and we lose, you know, the value of being able to work together and see what really does work best. So that's one key challenge. And of course the other key challenge is that in terms of, you know, the work we do around digital twins and digital this and digital that is based on what we have already. You know, you don't start in a city or community with nothing. You know, there's some kind of digital infrastructure, legacy systems. You've got different cities, you know, some cities have integrators that manage the way the technology is used in the city, and how different software things are linked together, and someone else has got a different integrator, and others are working on open source approaches. And so what you have is this very, it's not just about fragmentation in terms of the great ideas we're trying to put into practice, but in terms of you know, we've got all of these different legacy systems and situations. Something that's, even if you had the same thing that works really well in one city, it might not be very easy to take and make it interoperable somewhere else, because they're a Microsoft, or they're a whatever, or they Linux, or they're this, or they're that. And so, you know, one of the key challenges, and this is the thing that we in Open and Agile Smart Cities are trying to work on, is these minimal interoperability mechanisms, where what we're trying to do is to understand how we can bring sufficient interoperability between different approaches, so that we can start to ensure that the foundation, at least, it is sufficiently consistent that you can take something that's been developed somewhere and bring it somewhere else without a huge amount of work to make it fit in. And that's one of the things that we are working on with you know, lots of other very clever people, to try and understand what are all the different sorts of legacy systems and so on in cities. How do cities approach things in different ways, and how can we start, rather than telling everybody you've got to do it in the same way, again, you can't, you know, it's around these projects you're involved in, but also around the more fundamental approaches to how you handle data and so on. So we can't tell everybody do things the same way, but what we can do is to say, well, if you tweaked it a bit, or this is one way that you can link this approach with another, and in doing that, you can get that consistency that will allow you to take something that's been done in Stavanger and put it somewhere else, and without a great deal of work to make it happen. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Michael, for your overview. I think you mentioned important challenge about fragmentation, but also a partial initial solution about the minimum interoperable systems, that mechanisms, sorry, that try to overcome, this type of problem and try to make things converge. I would like to hear also the opinion of the other panelists here on the possible challenges and solutions to the challenge. So we'll go just as you are seated now, starting with Franco, then Richard, Eva, and Deekshitha. Your thoughts on the same topic, please.
Perfect. Well, I am from GreenPrefab, which we work in the construction industry at the end. First, I need to appoint that the construction industry is still one of the most archaic, and less disrupted industry so far with the digital technologies, and that opens a very interesting opportunity because there's a lot of work to do, and you need to think that at the end you can see, now there are new technologies and digital tools that are coming. You can see some project that looks really outstanding, their approach to the their digital approach, but at the end you have some kind of workers and all the labor force doing some kind of pretty basic physical things that there's still a lot of to do in terms of coming from the computer towards the complete project. That's an important challenge. Another challenge, particularly in our industry, is some kind of quite easy to gather information, but to collect knowledge, and this is how to extract the most important knowledge from all the stakeholders. In the case of construction, is all the different divisions. Whether the engineering and design companies and in this case manufacturing companies. I'm talking about industrialized construction. Those that information, that knowledge is really very important to some kind of improve the performance of the digital tools, as well as in the future collecting the information from the other important stakeholders, which are the users. And the users will improve also all these digital tools by the performance and by the real results at the end. So, for example, to appoint one topic, you can see some project being built. Okay, the approach of the project in a very interesting BIM and digital models, but at the end, if you start to go down the supply chain, you have some kind of basic suppliers that are still working in 2D floor plans. So at the end, there's a lot to do. Everything is about challenges, and of course, this opens a real big opportunity, because the level of disruption that the industry needs to tackle the environmental issue that the built environment is creating is massive, and everything is to be done, and we need to be fast, and that's some kind of that's why we're here. If we need to collect information to do the things in a faster way, we need to move to the digital world.
Thank you, Franco. Now, Richard.
So just coming from a supply chain point of view, we've sort of highlighted 3 challenges when it comes to digital. The models, they can contain so much data, as Ode mentioned earlier. You're using yours for quite a lot of things, but some of the data, it's sort of irrelevant to construction and manufacturing, and the data needed for construction and manufacturing isn't included in there. So using the tools properly, we find it a challenge, and just an overbearing amount of data as well. So you can export things out into Excel spreadsheets, but those spreadsheets can be so confusing on some of the models. So it's getting getting tactical with the information that's given and who it's given to, because manufacturers don't need to see carbon data, but they do need some machine coding. So it's getting an understanding of how to use the tools and who to use the tools on. A second challenge is with the architects. So there's sometimes a lack of understanding when it comes to how buildings are put together and how components are manufactured. So we find there's a lot of designs in there that are still concept. They look really pretty, they look really, really good on a computer screen, near on impossible to manufacture. And it's getting early involvement so that we can explain how things are manufactured, because you can still make things look pretty, but you can make it a lot cheaper to manufacture by just using a few different techniques in manufacturing, and it really helps with the end product of the building. And then to flip it on its head as well, us manufacturers are very simple folk. We sometimes can't understand digital models. So through historically we use PDFs and 2D drawings. If you go into 95% of the manufacturers in the UK anyway, with a 3D model, they will just look at you with googly eyes and say, "Can I have a 2D drawing, please?" So it's the more digital 3D tools are used in manufacturing and construction, the more understanding there will be. I actually prefer the 3D models and to the 2D tooling, because you can see clashes a little bit easier and you can get different dimensions that 2D drawings just don't show. And it's getting that early involvement of the supply chain and showing them the tools and just giving them a little pat on the back and saying it's going to be okay, this is going to make it easier, and here's how to do it. So those are the three challenges, and most of them are solved through early engagement with supply chain, architects, clients, and everyone involved. So yeah.
Thank you. Now you can pass the floor to Eva for your perspective on these challenges and possible solutions.
Okay, so thank you. So one challenge, I reconnect to what Michael was saying, no? So, and also with what Franco was saying. Franco was saying construction sector is very conservative, old-fashioned somehow. But I think that we have a lot of digital tools that are brilliant, that can do a lot of very, very, very nice things. But the point is, if we lack the data, we cannot use them at all, no? So in our experience, we have energy simulation tools suite. We can use them, but when we arrive at the municipality level and we have to collect the data, that's the most challenging part. But I also agree with Michael that the data are somehow, or in some places there are the data. The point is to find a technical solution to connect with the legacy system and to reuse this data without forcing to generate data that are already available. This is one part. The other part probably is the lack of trust in sharing the data, no? So if I'm a municipality, why should I put this data available for others? But even if I'm a citizen or I'm becoming a prosumer in an energy community, why should I share my data? So there is a lack of trust, and it's a mental barrier that we have to avoid. So we are working, for example, on identification of incentives that are not only economical. Okay, there are economical incentives, and they work quite well. So if you demonstrate that you can reduce your energy consumption using the AI, you have to install the magic black box, people can be convinced. But there are also other incentives. No? You can contribute to your community, because if you create an energy community, you can help people that might suffer energy poverty. You can offer energy availability to services like schools or other social services in your city. So I think that we have also to work on these cultural aspects that has to trigger the more cooperation and more willingness of sharing. And another element is also the emergence of the digital building logbooks that are creating this unique place archive where all the data are stored, and there are a lot of benefits by adopting these solutions and to make this digital building logbook open, interoperable, so that the data can be reused and they do not have to be searched or recreated again. This is one challenge. The other challenge is the difficulty of creating common languages, because if you are tools that has to be used by technical people, by public authorities, by citizens, you need to develop different languages, different granularities of information provision, because they need different type of data. So you can be too technical or too divulgative, and the risk is that you lose efficacy if you are not able to use the right communication level. And I think that here it's important to create best practices, example, to let people learn how to use. But also I agree with Odd, yes, that technology is an instrument, is not an aim. So the less the better. Usually you should make the technology a little bit transparent, so that is not too, how could I say, too aggressive for the users. We need to keep it hidden somehow, but we have to also to use technology. So it's a mix. Technology has to be hidden somehow, but the technology is also very useful, because if you think about chatbot, come on, if a person has to complete an Excel or a questionnaire, it could be very cumbersome and time consuming. But if you have a chatbot and you can ask, oh, I do not understand this question, can you give me an example? Or is it correct? Or can you give me more details? Well, a chatbot could be really smart, no, in helping people being more familiar with some instruments. So I think that we can use the natural language processing, so people now can interact with the solution using their voice, and they do not have to learn complex interfaces. They can simply speak and be recognized by the system. So I think that we have to balance the presence of technology, not too invasive, but we shouldn't be scared by technologies.
Thanks, Eva. You said many interesting things. I like also that you connected with many of the previous speakers. So I'd leave the last word to Deekshitha. We were supposed to have also another round after this, but I think the answers you gave were pretty comprehensive, and we gave a lot of insights also to the people that are still online. But we also need to wrap it up, also because we have the cocktail waiting and the room is about to close. So I'd like to have you as last perspective, and then we'll just wrap it up for the people, and we'll skip the final round because we have already had a very good discussion. So thank you, Deekshitha. Your opinion.
So yeah, I think already almost everyone made the points that I was going to make anyway, and I completely agree with them. So maybe something a little different is for as a technology provider for both B2B and B2G, there's a difference that we see that with B2B, it's always been easier to convince because we are showing efficiency in planning with digital twins. Efficiency means resource saving equals dollar signs. So it's easy to say this is useful. But government seems to take it in a different way, that efficiency means less people are needed to make the same process, which means job losses. And that has been one of our biggest challenges, to convince them that you need this technology to not reduce or not to give you the decision what you need to take, but this is just going to help you skip a few steps to come to the same factual decision. And I think, I don't know how to say we overcame it. It has to be reached on both the ends. It has to come to the middle. Our way, we had to tell them that this is not replacing you, this is assisting you. And from the side of the government, they have to come to a more trusting point as well. And for that, exactly events like this, like NEB and like downstairs, where there are hundreds of technology providers showing this proof of concepts and lighthouse projects, they are important because they are showing that this is necessary, and there is not really a way to get around it. Technology advancement is happening. So if you're not adopting it, you're not doing something differently, you're just lagging behind. So hopefully both the parties reach a common ground is what we can hope for. Yeah, I think that is our biggest challenge so far.
Yeah, thanks, Deekshitha. So thank you everyone for sharing your experiences, your challenges, solutions, but also, you know, best practices. I would like also to thank all the people that attended this event online and remind you that the slides that we have seen for the first part of the event will be on our website tomorrow or maximum by the end of this week. And also that the recording of this event will also be available on our YouTube channel and website. So just keep in touch at digiNEB.eu, or you can write us at info@digiNEB.eu, and you know, we can continue following up with all the speakers and all the audience that I hope have liked our event. Thank you again, and have a good evening, and see you at the next opportunity. Thank you all.